I want you to tell women what to do.
If you're just going to sit and live with mom and dad all your life until Prince Charming comes and saves you, that may not happen.
I promote women can have it all.
I personally don't think women should vote.
Every single thing you say is literally appealing to men.
I think you're evading the question.
Well, I think the advice you give to women is awful, and I don't think it comes from true happy and really happy.
Of course it is.
You wouldn't be so triggered.
Berated my husband for absolutely no reason.
I just looked at 2 seconds, I was like, oh, that's a gay man.
When I was a boy, I was told there would never be a war between the sexes because everyone was sleeping with the enemy. And somehow that actually isn't true anymore. Somehow men and women are not sleeping together. I guess that's good if they're not married, but they're also not getting married and they're not having kids. There seems to be a spike in men hating women, a spike in women hating men, an abundance of dating apps, and yet a dearth of dating. So to help me, an old man, make sense of this, I have invited on 3 hip, cool, young Zoomer women. That would be Melanie Mack, Emily Wilson, and Savannah Stone. Ladies, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
So my friend Tomi Lahren has gone viral for talking about this problem and placing the blame at the feet of stay-at-home boys.
Leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less, and if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I gotta tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim.
Pickings are slim. It's all the boys' fault. It's not the girls' fault. Emily, what say you?
No, I'm with her on this. I'm not saying that there's not blame across the board. I don't even think it's a men hating women, women hating men. I think it's everyone hating each other problem right now, because I see it women against women, men against men. But she's right. I mean, I live in Beverly Hills. Most of the men around here come from money. They're complete mommy's boys. They stay at home until they're literally in their late 30s. And there's guys who walk around and they're TikTokers. I mean, she makes a lot of good points. I agree with everything she's saying. I don't ever put 100% blame on, but yeah, she's right. Men are also becoming a bit feminine.
Okay, so if you had to place the blame, not you say it's not 100%, is it 90-10, 75-25?
But I think it's 50-50.
50-50. Okay, so then then it's not primarily the boys, it's the girls and the boys. Savannah?
Yeah.
I would say both, but I have a little bit of a different perspective because I live in the South. So most men are very masculine, they're manly, they go hunting, they provide for women. And I would say where I live, it's actually mainly the women, and I'm going to contribute that to modern feminism. Just the fact that they don't want to be traditional, they don't want to live this traditional life, but the men are looking for that. But they're struggling to find traditional women because modern feminism has told women that their career is more important than having a family.
Okay, so you're placing the blame more at the girls' feet.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Melanie?
I think it's 50-50. I do think it's a society problem, but I also have to say that if you live, so I live in Texas, and here in Texas, there's not this stay-at-home mommy boy epidemic going on for the most part, at least in the Bible Belt where I'm at. Men are masculine, they're working hard, and the women are feminine out here for the most part. So I think if you really want to get away from all of that, all of these, everybody want to be a TikToker, everybody want to be a Kardashian, because this is on both sides, then move somewhere that has good biblical values.
Okay, so that's a great point, but now we're at 50-50. So it's not even 50.001 to 49.999. You're saying it's exactly 50. None of you want to place the blame at the girls or the boys' feet. Okay, fair enough. Very diplomatic, very nice, very complimentary, and very trad in many ways. But then how do you fix it? If you got the boys acting like girly men and you've got the girls acting sort of vacuous and promiscuous, then how are the two going to meet?
I think you only fix this with God. You only fix this with biblical values. I think the reason why society has gone so chaotic like this, a huge reason why, is because people have, and society has steered away from these values. They normalized hookup culture, which is not good. This is why a lot of the youth aren't dating anymore, because that's not healthy at all. And then you've also got a very selfish culture. Everybody wants to feel like they're the prize. And the problem with feeling like you're the prize, when you're seeking a relationship is you're looking for a servant instead of an equal partnership where you're both putting in 100%.
So what's the practical advice? I mean, at least to the men. You know, maybe I could give practical advice to women, but what would you say to the men who are stay-at-home boys who can't get a girlfriend? What say you, Emily?
So get a job, move out. You don't need to be online. I don't think online is necessarily a place for men. I think it's a very feminine thing to do. And I just think men need to have, this is like a rabbit hole because obviously, yeah, we've like neglected men, which, you know, some people can agree with, some people don't. But I just think, yeah, it's a big thing. It's going to be where they're raised, what they're raised by, what religion, what culture, what they're around. I mean, there's so many factors to it. There's literally no black and white answer. And if there was, we'd already have it figured out by now. But obviously there is going to be some aspect of embracing normal traditional gender roles. So it's like, yeah, I think maybe if men were out and working and not on TikTok, things would be a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't have a definite answer for any of these things. It's also culture. Things have changed. Also, it's so expensive out here. Most men are like, it would be insane to be like, how am I going to be a provider? You have to make millions and you still feel like you're at the poverty line out here.
So what do you say? You say things have changed. That's totally true. I haven't dated since before dating apps existed, actually, believe it or not, because I married my high school sweetheart. And so I like just missed it, and I didn't have to deal with a lot of modern dating, even in my single years. So what do you do? Like, you know, if you go out on a date with a guy, you say things have changed, it's hard out there, you got to be a zillionaire to get a wife. First date, does the guy pay?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Always.
100%.
Every date.
Yes.
Every date. Okay. Does the guy open the door for the girl?
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Does the guy expect any improper behavior that really should only exist between a husband and a wife?
No.
Of course, out here.
Yeah.
They shouldn't.
Hold on. Wait. Is that of course yes or of course no?
They shouldn't.
Of course, yes.
They do expect it. Is that good? It should they expect it or they should not?
Whatever. I mean, I'm not going to demonize them. It's what most people do. So it is what it is.
But
Not
do you think,
promoting
I
it.
guess that's kind of getting to the point here, I think, because if the critique from the women is these men aren't acting like men and they're not being chivalrous and they're not, you know, treating me like the sweet angel that I am. And then the critique from the men is, well, these girls are not behaving like dignified, modest women. They're on OnlyFans and they're, you know, promiscuous or whatever. You can see how both sides got to that place, but then don't we need to raise the expectations and say, no, ladies, be modest. Men, don't be Casanovas.
Yeah, you got to raise it on both ends, though, which is very difficult because you also have to get women and men to both admit that they were slightly wrong, which no one wants to do because right now all we do is pin each other against each other. Oh, no, all the women, they're all on OnlyFans and they're all hoeing it out constantly. Oh, all the men, they're just, feminine TikTokers. Like, you got to get to a middle ground. Like, yeah, is it great for every woman out here to be on OnlyFans? No, it's a little crazy because, like, look, it is kind of sex work. It's kind of prostitution.
Oh, it absolutely
I would say
is.
more than kind of. Yeah,
It is 100% prostitution.
Yeah. But also, when you have all these men that just go through women because they have unlimited options, and this is what most girls are, and they're like, yeah, I want a good girl. But then they say they want a good girl, then they meet the good girl, and they cheat on them anyway. So it's just like, it's a very difficult thing that's going to take a long time to try to figure out, honestly.
Oh, yeah. So then what do we aim at? I guess because there is something that's been delightful to me that's cropped up because I'm a little more, not totally libertarian, you know, I'm a little more traditionalist. I go to the traditional Latin mass. So when this phrase Tradlife popped up, I thought, let's go, baby. I'm like the hipster of the Tradlife. You know, I've been doing it since before it was cool. But this creates caricatures. This creates, you know, some people, they take it a little too far. I sometimes tell women, if they want to date at the traditional Latin mass, the odds are good, but the goods are odd. You know, if they're a little weird out there. So, Emily, you went viral for critiquing the Tradlife.
I'm sorry, I hate to call out my own party, but the young girls on the right promoting this like trad wife bullshit. I just want to make sourdough for my husband. That's great. I'm all for it. I promote traditional values. I understand. I have been working since I was very young. I don't really plan on stopping working. I suggest you find a hobby that makes you money. But you guys, guess what? Guess what, baby girl? That lifestyle working out, a man, a provider, you just get to sit at home, bake bread every day, slim to none. I would say none that's going to work out for you or quite literally anyone you know. You're actually setting yourself up for failure because it could not be easier, if that's what you're going to pursue, to be trapped by a man. Okay? Also, let's bring some other things to the table besides sourdough. Guys want to be mentally stimulated as well as physical, okay? But I'm just like, please, you guys are too young to be promoting this. And also, by the way, it's cringe. You guys are cringe, okay?
Okay, so Emily says Tradlife is BS. Savannah, what say you?
So I actually don't like the buzzword trad wife because, again, I think it's a buzzword in culture and there's a lot of things tied to it. But
Yeah,
I would have
when
to
I was a kid, we just
disagree.
called them wives.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what we do.
Yeah, and now, I would say stay-at-home wife would probably be the proper term for it. But, I would have to disagree. I think that there's a very narrow perspective that when you are a wife who doesn't make her own income and the man is providing, that you are trapped by a man. I mean, I will post things about my husband providing for me and they're like, wait till he leaves you in 20 years and goes and finds a younger girl and leaves you with absolutely nothing. And the truth of the matter is that doesn't really happen, right? Like 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women who were unhappy or just bored. It really doesn't happen where the man just leaves you with absolutely nothing. I think too, like my marriage personally, Christ is at the center of our marriage. And if you don't have that foundation, then of course it's going to fall apart. Of course there's going to be infidelity. Of course you're going to be looking elsewhere because you don't have that foundation. And couples that pray together stay together. Like we pray every single night and Christ is at the center and we're going to church together. And we did that from the beginning of our relationship all the way up until now. So I think bringing Christ back into the marriage is really important. And of course, that's where the traditional roles come in. I believe that when you are going 50-50, which is like this new progressive marriage, that it causes a lot of competition and there's actually not any contribution, that the man and the woman are just competing with each other because they're both waking up at 6 a.m. They're rushing to get ready. They're going to their 9 to 5. They come home. They're absolutely exhausted. They're splitting the chores. They eat a quick dinner, scroll on their phones, go to bed, repeat the same cycle over and over again. And it's not working out. And you've seen the divorce rates go up and you've seen the birth rates plummet. And so bringing tradition back in, and I'm not saying we all have to be in 1950s gowns and cooking it from scratch.
Wouldn't be the worst idea, but okay, sure, you don't have to.
No, it would be great. It would be great. But I think that bringing back the idea of the husband being the head of the household and the woman being his help, like it was in the Bible, like it literally says in the Bible, would help a lot of marriages.
Emily, does that do anything for you?
No, I stand on everything I said. You know what the funniest part about my video was? I mean, that's literally just common sense. You can't even argue with any of it. There's statistical data on my side for every single thing I said, especially if you're getting married super young, the odds of that working out. The difference is I pray it does work out for everyone, but also I'm just looking at things from a perspective. But it's funny because I was like, I must have triggered something in all these housewives because I was like, how happy are you guys that you flood my comment sections wishing horrible things to happen on me? And I'm like, so you're not really proving my point that I think any of you are happy. And yes, not even just the fact of divorce. Divorce is what? Probably 50% in this country, potentially more.
It's a little less, but yeah, it's high.
Yeah, it's high. People lose their jobs. People die. People get sick. There's a lot of factors to that. It's also like, I don't understand these women who claim to be so happy that are, telling me to kill myself online because I have an opinion, which is what I do for a living. I'm like, I promote women can have it all. I work full time. I also cook. I also clean. I do everything. It's not something to be put down, which is the problem with these trad wives are hating on women that work. And it's like, we're not forcing you to work. I like working. It makes me happy. So I'm like, do you? But this pressing this life on everyone, it's not for everyone. And it's also not going to work out for everyone. And that's just life. So
yeah, Savannah, why are you trying to force your views on Emily, huh?
I don't force my views on anyone. Listen, all of my girlfriends have jobs or they're in university and we get along and they respect my lifestyle and I respect their lifestyle. Do I think women with children who are married are happier? Yes, there are statistics that show that. But we live in a world where I'm not going to tell women what to do. They can go to work. They can do whatever they want. They can be on OnlyFans. But do I think that they're happier when they have a man providing for them and they have children? Yes, because it's just our primal nature.
But then you said I was bitter. How am I bitter? Because I work, I cook, I clean, and my man fully takes care of me, and I have my own money to take care of myself. So it's
because there would be no reason to go online and bash women who do have that lifestyle. unless you were bitter about it. It doesn't make sense to.
My job
regardless.
is to give opinions for a living. It's an opinion. If you were
Of
truly happy,
course it is.
you wouldn't be so triggered. But you took it extremely personal. I'm like, sweetie, I'm not talking to you. It's an opinion. I give them for a living. I have a job.
But then why don't you like it that other people give you opinions in your comments?
No, it's funny because it's like you're clearly triggered. As if you're that happy, you wouldn't be bothered. And she thinks I'm like talking about her. I'm like, no, I'm talking about all the young girls online that are literally promoting this, and then ironically doing it as a job to grift and make money as well, which is so funny because it all comes for full circle.
There is some of that. I do agree. I think that from my perspective, yeah, encouraging girls who are single and who aren't married, and even if they want that trad lifestyle, go ahead and do something with yourself. In the meantime, set yourself up so that, hey, if that trad life that you want doesn't come to be, because right now we do live in especially a very godless society, and a lot of traditional values come from the Bible. So if you're just going to sit and live with mom and dad all your life until Prince Charming comes and saves you and gives you that trad life, that may not happen. So go ahead, get a job, have a plan for yourself if it comes down to it. But to say that the trad life is cringe or anything like that, I completely disagree.
No, the fake trad life that they promote online.
The fake one, yeah.
These girls that sit at home and are like, I did nothing today and I'm taken care of and I'm happy. Oh my God. Literally, I want to be like, get a job. Like, sorry, it's cringe and it's gross. And it's so funny. I'm like, why are you out here promoting trad life 24/7 dying on this hill when half of these chicks aren't even married or have kids? I'm like, go get those babies popped out. Go live that life. You're dying on that hill online. I'm just calling it out.
What about this point?
Yeah.
So you made a point there, because I see a lot of it. I see the criticism, which is, if you're a trad life influencer and, your life is mostly like on camera, it's hard for that to be trad. It's hard to be trad on TikTok, right? Trad involves, you're kind of more focused on the private life and the home and the kids and the bread, which is great. And it's all fabulous. But I see there's a little bit of a tension there. But to Savannah's point, most divorces are initiated by women. So it's not that some women aren't passed up for the secretary. That does happen, but that's relatively minor. It more seems to be impelled by feminism and by women's choices. And on the notion of having it all, at a certain point, you can't have it all. If you're at work 8 hours a day at the widget factory doing the spreadsheets, those are 8 hours that you're not going to be with your kids or baking bread or, dusting the bookshelves or whatever it is. So I grant that women can have lots of different goods in their lives, but sometimes there is a decision you have to make. And I think the question that's being raised here by Melanie and Savannah is it better, is it more conducive to women's happiness to put on the Victorian era gown or not, or you can wear modern clothes, but have the kids, get married, bake the bread, do the house stuff? Or is it more conducive to women's happiness to go out and work at a corporation and have a career?
My answer is do both.
But how can you do, meaning if you're going to do the one, you're going to spend just in what would be your work day, 8 hours a day with the kids. Kids aren't going to be with the nanny. They're going to be with mama, and mama's going to be making breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're going to be giving them piano lessons or whatever. That's one kind of thing. Or you could be doing spreadsheets at the widget factory or whatever the job is. But, there are only 24 hours in a day. At a certain point, you're going to when you have to make a decision, am I going to spend my time doing this or that? Which is better?
I don't believe in this choosing thing. We live in a modern day society. There's so many factors to this. It's not just this whole thing of travel. The corporate slave. First of all, I've loved most of my careers, and most of them weren't 8-hour days, Monday through Friday. These women can have jobs and still be at home and still be with the children. Also, a lot of women have kids, and I hate to say it, are not fully fulfilled by that and are like, dude, I need to go back to work. I need to be around adults. Like, sorry, that's a real thing. A lot of my friends are married. A lot of them have kids. So it's just like, I think this whole thing, instead of constantly being like, you have to pick. Also, a lot of these women make content and have full-time jobs as they have careers. And especially a lot of those women are the top women in right-wing media, which is so funny watching these young girls hate on these women. Meanwhile, I'm like, those are the women you would die to achieve to have that type of lifestyle. I'm not going to sit here and hate on Ingram, Kelly, all these women, Allie Beth Stuckey, all these women. They have full-time jobs and they also are able to be moms and take care of their kids. I doubt all those women are horrible mothers. But that's the thing. I'm like, I'm not going to tell women they have to choose. You can do both. You can make it work. And the more money you have, the more opportunities, and you're going to have ways to help. maybe then I can go hire someone to cook or to clean and spend more time
No, I know
with my
you can.
kids.
That's what you have to do. And I agree. It is kind of funny. If you are on TV every day for a living, by definition, you're not living the most traditional lifestyle. There are a lot of perks to it and a lot of good things. But yes, of course, I totally grant that. But I think you're evading the question, because the point you've just made is, look, I can hire a nanny, I can hire a chef, I can take the money. Yeah, I know. That's one kind of life. But when you say you can have it all, that it violates Aristotle's law of non-contradiction, because in the two choices two ways of life that I'm presenting at least are, you're at home, you don't have a job. You have a lot of jobs, but you don't have a career. Your life is in the private sphere. The other version is your life is in the public sphere, but you get to do a lot of fun, like wife, mom stuff too. But I'm saying those are separate things. Savannah or Melanie, do you have thoughts on if one is better than the other, or are we all just going to be like modern people and not make a decision?
I think if you're actually looking at children and upbringing, and obviously my mom was a trad wife. She still is. She raised my brothers and I. She stayed at home and homeschooled us while my dad provided for the family. And there's no way that she could have had a full-time job and homeschool us and take care of the home and do all the cooking and all of that stuff. So for that, I'm very grateful, because especially when you get on the subject of public schools in general, their indoctrination systems. And also it's hard for kids to really be kids when they're at such a young age having their 9 to 5 already in the school system. So the fact that my mom dedicated her time into homeschooling my brothers and I'm so grateful for that. And so, not to say that every kid that's in public school doesn't have a good mom and all that, but I think in an ideal scenario for children, a mom would stay home and raise them.
Hold on. I have a lot more pearls of wisdom. First, though, go to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Knowles, KNOWLES. You've heard me talk about Balance of Nature many times before. That's because Balance of Nature fruits and veggies is the most convenient way to get whole fruits and vegetables daily, especially if you're focused on creating a healthier, happier lifestyle. Nature's pretty good at giving us the nutrients we need through our fruits and vegetables. So Balance of Nature takes fruits and veggies, freeze dries them, turns them into a powder, and puts them into a capsule. You take your fruit and veggie capsules every day, and then your body knows what to do with them. Balance of Nature is just one ingredient of a balanced lifestyle, has no intention to replace a healthy diet, exercise, sleep, or any other healthy habits. It is intended to be used in concert with other healthy habits, especially for me, someone who's on the road a lot. When sweet little Lisa isn't making me my fruits and veggies, it's nice to have a way to, make sure I get them on the go. I don't just collapse from ill health. Go to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Knowles, KNOWLES for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. Plus, get a free bottle of fiber and spice. That is balanceofnature.com. Promo code KNOWLES.
My mom worked from home. She was a settlement consultant, so she only worked when she had a case come to her. But she sacrificed a lot of work when she had us as kids, and she was able to basically be a stay-at-home mom who took maybe like 2 conference calls a month. So she could have made a lot more money than she did, but she sacrificed that to raise us as kids. So I don't think that you can have it all, because having it all would be her making as much money as she can with work, being very successful in her career, and also having successful children. But you
can't bilocate.
Like
you can't be in 2 places simultaneously.
Yeah, no. And I mean, she took us to school every day. She picked us up. She was at all of our games. She was at all of our events. And I would not trade that for the world. And that was a good example to me, because when I have kids, I want to be at everything. Like I want to watch them grow up. I don't want somebody else raising my children or even my parents raising my children, because they have to watch them. So I think I had a great example of that growing up. But even my mom would tell you, like, no, I had to sacrifice a lot of money and a lot of my career to raise children, but she'll tell you it was 100% worth it.
My wife, she's done both. Sweet little Lisa she's a real trad wife. She bakes the bread, she makes the pasta, she does all the stuff, takes the kids out. But she has a PhD, she's had a career. She has a doctorate. I have an honorary doctorate. I'm just the arm candy, really. But she's done that, and she quit her job. And she quit her job because we've been spitting out enough kids that it got to the point where she was going to have to make real choices. Hire more childcare, spend less time with the kids, or quit the job. But it finally had come down to it, and you have to make a choice. And she chose the trad life, the trad wife life. But she did have Emily's caveat there, which is that a lot of these moms who decide, okay, I'm going to stay home. I want to be with the kids more. I don't want to. They still want some money, or they still want some kind of outside intellectual activity. So they'll make content. They'll like make they'll post on Instagram, and so it is this little bit of a kind of trying to have it all sort of thing. But my question, I guess maybe I'm more authoritarian than anyone on the panel. I don't know. I haven't heard you weigh in on this, Melanie. But I do not have the view, as you suggested, Savannah, that look, a woman, if she wants to do whatever she wants, that's fine. She can go on OnlyFans, or I don't know. I don't. It should not. That OnlyFans should be banned. The operators should be arrested and shipped off to St. Helena, So yep. I think we should put lots of limits on all this stuff. And the question that I have is we're trying to bridge the divide between the sexes so that people can have good lives. What is best for these people? We have no problem saying that it is better for the boy to get out of his mother's basement. It is better for the boy to go out, get a job, not be a stay-at-home son or whatever. It's better for him. He should. But then when it comes to women, we say, well, they can do whatever they want. Maybe this is better, but maybe it's not. Maybe this. But I want shoulds. I want you to tell women what to do. What is best for the women? Emily?
I think men should go out and work. I think women should also educate themselves. I think they should find a job that makes them happy. We don't all have to pretend like every job is slave labor. I've had many careers. I've been happy in all of them. I think women should have something that's theirs on their own. I also think it gives you more options. It makes you, in my opinion, because I give those for a living, more valuable and better off. And when they find someone, if they choose to become a stay-at-home, trad wife, whatever BS they call it online now, then that's fantastic. If they want to have hobbies, if they want to work a little, if they want to quit their jobs, whatever's best for them that makes them happy and the children, that's great. I support all of that.
Okay, now, so then the question, of course, this begs the question, which is what makes people happy, which is where we stay. What is actually conducive to happiness? Modernity tells you a lot of things are going to make you happy and they don't. But then I see in your answer, Emily, a lot of they should have choice. They should have something on their own, something independent. But I am skeptical of that, okay? I don't have a lot of choices. I mean, I do, and I get to do whatever I want. I don't even have a real job. I just do, this is my job. Is this even a job? But I don't have a lot of choices. I am married. I got to be home at a certain time most nights. I got to do stuff. I've got to make some money because I've got to pay certain bills. I don't accept divorce under any circumstances. So I don't have a prenuptial agreement. My wife could take me to the cleaners if she wanted to. I don't have choice. I don't have things that are really independent from my wife. We don't have separate personal bank accounts or anything. We don't have separate anything really. We sleep in the same bed. So my question then is it really good? I know modernity says it's good to be independent and have choices and endless options or whatever. Does that really make you happy, Melanie?
I honestly don't even like the phrase "do what makes you happy." I think you need a foundation, and that foundation is the Bible instead of subjective morality. We're not always going to have the opportunity to do what makes us happy, because what makes us happy at all times isn't necessarily right. We need to do the right thing. And the Bible has a strong foundation for how men should behave, what men should do, and women. So we can't just live life based on you do you. Let's have this subjective morality because things just go crazy. You got pride parades, you got kids being mutilated, like things just spiral out of control. So do what's right, follow the Bible.
That's a pretty straight answer. So Emily's answer is do the things that make you happy, follow your bliss. Yours is follow the Bible, even if you think it might not make you happy, it will in the long run. Yes. Savannah, what should women do?
I think the word choice is very overglorified in our society. Like, choice is so sexy. We love having choice. I would agree with you, Michael. In my marriage, I will not leave my husband under any circumstance. We follow the Bible. We're loyal to each other. He's the head of the household, so he makes the decisions in our family. And I'm actually happier that way. I mean, I'm very young. I got married at 18, but before then I was given all these choices like, oh, well, you could move here and go get a degree here, go get a job here. And that was overwhelming. That was actually more depressing than living in a marriage that is a unit, and in which you don't have a ton of choices and you don't have a ton of freedom, quote unquote. And so if you watch my content, you know that I usually say you should do this, you ought to do this, because statistically speaking, married women with children are happier. But again, I'm going to have to agree with Melanie too, that the Bible is the foundation and Christ is the foundation will make you want to do things that are inherently traditional and that are biblical. So I would say that choice has just gotten so out of hand, and we ought to go back to biblical principles.
All right. Now, it seems like the divide here is you got Melanie and Savannah are like really pro Tradlife. Emily, you're being made out to be the liberal feminist here, even though you're pretty conservative, right? You're pretty.
I know.
Pretty
it's funny because
much
everyone says I'm like too far right, which is like there's no winning, is there?
But do you feel that you are a little more on the liberal or feminist side compared to some of the women who are pushing the trad life?
I mean, textbook definition feminism of wanting men and women to have like equal rights. Yeah, like I would not deny that, of course.
You would call yourself a feminist? Because I know people always say feminism means you want men and women to have equal rights. I think that's BS. I think it's an ideology.
What it's supposed to mean and what it did mean until it got hijacked by everything. Now, if you say you're a feminist, everyone's calling you a liberal and all these different things.
I mean, actually, sorry to interrupt, but I'd go back even further. I don't think it ever actually meant that. I think that was a way to sell feminism. But I think going back to like Mary Wollstonecraft in the early days of feminism, I think it was just basically a view of human nature that said men and women are pretty much the same. And rather than the classical view of human nature, which is that men and women are different, vive la différence, we're complementary, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, but we all get together in the solar system. So I think it goes deeper than it. That's one reason why I would never say I'm a feminist, is because I just don't think that's how human nature works. I love women. I think women are marvelous. I am as far from a misogynist as it is possible to be. But I don't think men and women are the same. I think certain things are better for men, certain things are better for women.
No, I think what makes us different are our strengths. I think trying to blend those together is a complete weakness. I think men and women are completely different animals and should be treated differently. So it's like the problem is they're trying to blend these things to be like, oh, we should just be living the same life and doing the same things. Absolutely not. That clearly is not working out as we see that in society. Do I think women should have the right to vote and all these things? Which, yes, all the pick-me feminists, they're like, oh my God, women shouldn't even vote. Like, I'm sorry. I think that's embarrassing. I think literally all they're doing is trying to get attention from men, ironically, because most of them are probably unhappy in their marriages and not happy with all the choices they've made. I'm also coming from a different perspective. I'm in a city. I'm also not super religious. I'm very clear about that online, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm a part of this new wave of feminism. I mean, being in one of the bluest places in the country, I live a very ironically traditional and conservative lifestyle. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't go out. We're having dinner, we're cooking, we're with the dogs. We'd like to
Emily,
get married one day.
My definition of conservatism, you actually have to drink and smoke. It's actually a requirement. I see your point, because sometimes when they say women shouldn't vote, I think, hold on, then we're going to lose all the elections because we get all the married. Only married women should vote. The single women should not vote because they all vote for Democrats. But if you really wanted to embrace the trad life, of course, nobody should vote. But that's a topic for another time. Ladies, thank you so much.
I'm saying so much of it is so hypocritical. And ironically, a lot of these statements are like literally just from women to like appease men. And like, I'm sorry, I'm just like, I'm not going to get behind that. And they called me a liberal feminist and Tomi Lahren and all these people. And like, look, we're allowed to have different perspectives. And that's also supposed to be the right wing. We're not supposed to be liberals. We're supposed to have different perspectives and actually be able to coexist with each other.
Right. And I'm not completely on the end of like, oh, women shouldn't vote and this and that. I think women should be able to vote. So I'm definitely with you on that.
You're
and
a liberal, Melanie? I thought you were conservative.
I guess so. But I also think even if you look at the Bible, you look at the Proverbs 31 woman, she still had a job. Granted, it didn't take priority over her household. So I think that when we're talking about roles, as if a woman wants to be able to work, I mean, I'm not in a 1950s dress right now. Like,
not yet, Melanie.
Work. Yeah, not yet, at least. So I work, and so I can't claim that everything has to be this exact same way. So I do understand that element of it, but I think that the priority with a woman in marriage, and especially if kids are involved, should be the home. That is the priority. Anything else that she wants to do, if she wants to get a part-time job, she wants to do this or that, as long as it doesn't interfere with what she's able to do at home.
And I think it's good if you're talking about women initiating divorce and being unhappy. I think a good part of that is how do we keep women happy and stop that from happening. So saying, oh, not force them. If going to work 3 hours a week makes her happy, whatever it is, then maybe that should be also a priority if the divorce is initiated and so high.
I have this crazy idea. Maybe we should restrict the divorce laws again. But that's the much more trad right-wing view. Savannah, you have been characteristically demure, quiet, and trad in this last little segment here. Final word.
I personally don't think women should vote, and that's probably going to be a very far opinion. And that's not to get male validation. That's simply like I maybe married women, because it would just be like my husband having another vote. But during like the suffragist movement, they sold this to women as, oh, well, now you can vote differently than your husband. So now you have choice. And so if we're going to erase women's choice, as in, going on OnlyFans or working or whatever it may be, then you have to repeal the 19th too. I mean, I just don't, that we're losing elections. We lost in 2020 because single women were voting. So I think that's a problem.
I thought it was the ballot drop boxes, but it's a fair point. I mean, there were plenty of women during the suffragette movement.
Voter ID, but it's like, also, didn't you vote? Didn't you vote for Trump?
Well, but it was like my husband had another vote. I'm not voting against my husband.
Mm.
If I was voting against my husband, that would be a problem.
I don't think couples should be voting against each other, right? And I think the man should be the head of the household. So I can see that element of it for sure. Women should be voting against their husbands. I'm kind of in between, because like I don't want to be told I can't vote. I'm single too, so I don't want to be told I can't vote. Like,
why not?
Taxes.
I would be told. Look, sorry to interrupt, Melanie, but I'm a millennial. Millennials have voted traditionally for Democrats. If you told me, Michael, we're going to disenfranchise all the millennials, you'll never get to vote again, but we're going to get good government. Say, like, where do I sign up? Take all my votes, please. It's a hassle to go vote. What do I need that for? The point of the voting is the good government. And to your point, Savannah, I mean, there were a lot of women who were opposed to the suffragettes, and they didn't want the right to vote. And the reason, I don't think, was that they were, dumb or slaves or something like that. Their arguments were the argument that the basic unit of society should be the family, not the individual. So they were making principled arguments. You can disagree with those arguments. Obviously, they're kind of irrelevant now because women have had the right to vote for 100 years. But they were making serious arguments. So then, I don't know. I mean, what do you say, Emily? I don't think we're going to repeal the 19th Amendment anytime soon. But is it? Would it not be more conservative if the political order was based on the family rather than the individual?
Yeah, but there's also, that goes across too many different things of like rights that we should have, and it's just ridiculous. I don't even really believe, like, yeah, okay, would we be more conservative? Sure. Would I risk like all females not being able to vote? No. And I don't really think females believe that. I think they say these things online to get male validation.
Savannah, are you a pick-me? Are you doing pick-me stuff?
I'm married. I don't need to be picked. I've already been picked.
Yeah, but every single thing you say is literally appealing to men and usually hating on women as well, which is funny because I would think if I was in a happy marriage, I wouldn't even do this. Like, I would just go out and just be happy and do my thing. I think the advice you give to women is awful. I think it's at a detriment to them. And I don't think it comes from true happiness. And I think it really does come out of insecurity from being in, frankly, a lavender marriage, as everyone online can see.
I disagree. I think
Savannah, are you that easily manipulated by TikTok rumors?
What is it? Can you clear up for a millennial? What's a lavender marriage?
Man, in 2 seconds.
Oh, a lavender marriage is when
why do you think I called you out for hating on me specifically?
Isn't a lavender marriage usually like?
You berated my husband online. You berated my husband for absolutely no reason.
No, I just looked at 2 seconds. I was like, oh, that's a gay man. That's why she's
what?
So sassy on
I think that's uncalled for. I don't know anybody's personal lives here. This is what this is the thing, my perspective of what I'm seeing. Savannah is saying all this because she is in an ideal situation. She's in a happy situation. So in an ideal
situation, married to a potentially gay man at 19 is a
how do you know?
Listen, as someone who's tap danced in his life, I want you to know not every guy who's a little theatrical is lighting the loafers. All right. On that note, we have to let you all go. I look forward to chatting again, though. You can follow Melanie Mack at Melanie Mack. You can follow Emily at Emily Saves America. You can follow Savannah Faith Stone at Savannah Faith Stone. I can't wait for part 2. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.